It's my pleasure and honor to invite Dr. Corey Block. He's the owner or CEO of Paragon Consulting, based out of Dubai. He's had an illustrious career based, I think, out of Australia. He's originally from Canada, and he has a lot of interesting stories to tell. I've just spoke to him. Sorry. Dr. Corey Block is a globally recognized business strategist, author, speaker, and professor of strategic management at Monarch Business School with over 25 years of experience working in more than 150 companies. Wow. A highly sought after expert in leadership and organizational behavior, Dr. Corey has provided strategic consulting for the Council of Europe and World Bank, tech startups, multinationals, and governments across 30 countries. Give it up for Dr. Corey, and let's have him on board. Thank you.
Thank you. I won't need the clicker. There's no slides.
Right.
Just good stories. I hope that's okay. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much. I'm always interested to see how people introduce me when I get on stage like this, because my LinkedIn profile is like a week long. It's horrible. I do encourage all of you to stalk me on LinkedIn. That will be easier. Plus, I'm putting out tips and tricks for leaders and managers in HR all the time. It's free content for you. I'm happy to drive value into your life for the rest of your life if you connect with me on LinkedIn, okay? Easy. Also, I'm super excited to be here. Right? This is going to be so much fun, mostly because I love being in a room with so many people that mess with other people's lives every day. That's what we do, right? That's our whole profession. That's the value that we add to the world in exchange for a share of the resources so that we can raise our families, right? We improve the quality of people's lives every day. I think that's an incredible thing to do. Right? If you're going to dedicate half of your life every day to something, it should be that. But I have such amazing news for all of you. And it's going to happen in the next 20 minutes. Okay? And I'm hoping I'm going to improve not just the quality of your work, but the quality of your personal life as a result of this. What if I told you that your company could be 21% more profitable without any technology investment at all? It'd be hard to believe, right? What if I told you that your people could be 17% higher performing, that you could drive absenteeism down by 41%, turnover down by 59%, that you could increase the average tenure of your employees by 7.5 months? And what if I told you that your employees would be happy, no, thrilled, to take 2 less leave days every year and work an hour extra every week? Sounds like a miracle, doesn't it? But it's not. It's not a miracle. In fact, we're measuring this now. We have metrics for this. The studies from BetterUp and Gallup show us that not only is this possible, but it's actually happening, and that's what I want to talk about this morning is how. How are we doing that? I was working a few years ago with an engineering manager named Paul. Really great guy, loved his job, really loved his team, enjoyed the work that he was doing, very competent in his company, decided that he had some ideas for how to improve the processes at work, and so he asked for a new job. He wanted to be a project manager in his company, so he applied for the role and he was declined, okay? And you all know what that's like. Sorry, you didn't get the role. And he became not depressed, but disengaged. He felt like he was marginalized, he felt like he'd been passed over, and slowly over a course of a couple of months, he felt disempowered and disengaged in his job, and he ended up applying for a job in a different company. So he did get a project management role in a different company. So he left his first company, went to the next company, and it wasn't like what he thought at all. He was working 12, 14-hour days. He wasn't seeing his kids as much as he used to. His health started to decline because he gave up his exercise regime to keep up with the demands of the new position, and he didn't really connect as well with his team as he had hoped. And to be honest, it took maybe 6, 8 months before Paul realized, you know what, there is much more to life than the paycheck and the job title. I'm going back. He called his old boss back. right? And he said, hey, can I have my old job? And the boss said, yeah, come on back. So he came back, again, demotion, went back down to an engineering manager, but guess what? Paul had realized there was much more to life than just the job title and the salary, and he gave it everything he had. He loved his team, loved his job. He was passionate, he was engaged, he was performing way better in way fewer hours than he was working before. Plus, his health improved because he got back to his exercise regime that he liked, and he was spending much more time, quality time with his wife and kids at home on the weekends, and I think that's a huge win. Not just for Paul, but for the organization that he was dedicating half of his life to every day. And the organization agreed. Because it wasn't even 6 months after he returned that he himself got a promotion. Project manager. Now, it's a few years later. Paul is the director of projects in that same organization. He's making way more money. He's more profitable, more productive. He's happier, healthier. And he sees his wife and kids on the weekends, and he's living an amazing life. That's an incredible story. And it's not uncommon in my line of work. These are the stories that I get to help build every day. But Paul realized that lesson that many of us are recognizing, most of your employees already intrinsically know, and you do too, that meaning, as Harvard Business Review called it, meaning is the new money. Our employees, not our employees, us, we also our employees. We want meaningful work. And the BetterUp study that I referred to in the beginning, BetterUp study from 2017, said that our employees are willing to work for 23% less money if they're working in a job they find meaningful. That is not an excuse to pay your people less money. Okay? I hear all the penny pinchers. Anybody in finance in the room is going, yes, we can just cut all the salaries by 23%. No, because the irony is that same study showed that not only are our people willing to work for 23% less money if they're working in a meaningful job, they actually get paid more. Yeah, people who find meaning in their work, they tend to get more opportunities for raises, more opportunities for promotions, because they're higher performing, they're more passionate. So they're willing to work for less, but the irony is they actually get paid more. Like Mark. Mark is one of my VP executive coaching clients. I started with him less than a year ago. We started by clarifying his vision, mission, and values and goals for his personal life. Okay? Within 6 months, he got a promotion, he got a raise, he finished his PMP certification, started his MBA, and he's spending a lot more quality time at home with his wife and kids. And I think that's a pretty huge win for Mark and for the company that he's dedicating half of his life to every day. But it's not just for individuals, it's for entire organizations like the Al Masood Group in Abu Dhabi. Some of you are familiar with them. I have been doing all of their leadership training for the last 4 years. I have taken 200 of their senior managers and executives through my business's personal program. This is not a plug, by the way, because you can get this on Amazon for $3. Okay? I want everybody to know this. I took 200 of their executives through my program. And during COVID, which is an amazing test for what organizations can do, during COVID, when all of their competitors were receding, losing market share, and laying people off, the Al Masood Group kept every one of their employees. They gained market share, they expanded, they hired, they won global awards in their industries, and that training program ROT'd at 814%, not including indirect benefits. I think that's a huge win. But I want to tell you how to do that, right? So I want to give you an example of how that's done, because that's based on meaning, right? Meaning is the new money. So I'm going to prove it to you right now. And I want to mess with your lives just for a few minutes. Can I do that? Okay, so I want you to forget that you're a professional HR person. Okay, just forget that. And I want you to think about your personal life for a minute. I want you to think about your goals for your personal life. What do you want in your life? You want a nice car, nice house? Fine. You want good education options for your kids? That's great. You want a decent place to live and a high quality of life for your family? Awesome. You want to take care of your parents in their old age? You want to honor divide and conquer, I don't think conquer is the right word. Divide and connect might be more helpful language. If you're meeting your people one-on-one for one-on-ones and then also as a team to build that team, I think that's what's helpful. What's not helpful is the level of distraction that we have as managers and leaders. We're living in an unprecedented age of complexity. And it's driving us to forget what has made us powerful as humanity in the past. And we think that we're going to be able to evolve beyond this. No, we will adapt to it, but we will not evolve beyond it. We need 1,000 generations before we can evolve to adapt, before we can evolve into the technology we've already created for ourselves. We were evolved to survive in a world that no longer exists, a world of scarcity and violence, where if you are kicked out of your tribe, that's a death sentence, which is why it's so hard to lose your job. You know, we're not evolved to survive in the world that we've created for ourselves. And the good news is that the world that we've created for ourselves is an abundant world. We live in the most abundant and peaceful time in all of human history. Present troubles notwithstanding, this is still the most incredible time. We have access to so much technology, healthcare, communications, transportation. The world is so close and so connected now, more than it ever has been in the past. We have so much to be grateful for. Divide and connect. Meet with as many of your key people one-on-one as you can. The studies are that about 7 is the key. If your employee they feel connected to and supported by the 7 people that they interact with most in the organization, which is definitely their line manager and maybe a couple of people in other departments, but whoever those 7 people are, they will feel that their work is meaningful, even if all they're doing all day is balancing Excel spreadsheets. Does that make sense? Okay, we wrote these rules 1 million years ago. Let's follow them. Those are really good rules. Thank you so much for your time. During the break, I'll be outside if you have any questions. Oh, stay here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Block. Really inspiring. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And my appreciation for having come down here and being with us today.
My pleasure.
I just have a small token of appreciation.
Oh, come here. Right here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
Bravo, Corey.
See you.
Next one.
People around you in society, great. Think about those things. I want you to be self-interested just for a couple of minutes, and I want you to think about your personal goals. Okay? How many of them have to do with succession planning and legacy planning and filling out forms and writing reports? None of them. Okay? Nobody in your organization wakes up passionate about spreadsheets. They don't. And that's the reality is, we all of us in the room and every one of your employees all come to work every day to dedicate half of their lives that day to an economic project that has nothing to do with their actual personal goals. Let's be honest about that. We're all there so that our combined efforts collect enough resources that we can all take care of our families. We can put food on the plate, gas in the car, build our dreams all at the same time. That's why we're there, and that's why your employees are there, and that's why you are there, is so that you can answer these 2 questions. Why are you here? And why are you here? Let me explain. Because they sound very similar, so it's easy to get confused. Why are you here and not somewhere else? Okay? You could be doing this job in 1,000 different companies. You're not in any of them. You chose this one. Why? Well, my guess is it's because you're not a victim, you're not an idiot, and you're not a slave, okay? So, first of all, you're not a victim. Every decision you've ever made in your entire life has led you to this role in this economic community at this time. That was your choice. You're very empowered to be here. You made a deal. no victims. Secondly, you're not a slave. Now that you're here, if you don't like the deal at any given time, you can walk away. It's fine. Go find another team to play with. It's okay. But thirdly, and most importantly, you are not an idiot. This is the best, fastest, most effective way for you to reach your personal goals for your personal life. And I know that because if there was a better, faster, more effective way for you to reach your personal goals for your personal life, you would be doing that. But you're not doing that. You're doing this. And you're not an idiot, so this must be it. And that's why you're here and not somewhere else. But why are you here and not someone else? We're all amazing, unique, and wonderfully qualified people, but our CVs are not that special. There are 10,000 other people with your level of education and your level of experience, and any one of them could be sitting in your chair right now, but none of them are here. Why? See, here's the interesting thing about recruiting. When we do recruiting in HR, love the recruiting process. It tells us so much about human psychology because we're actually not interested in recruiting qualified people. Did you know that? We don't care. Qualified people, it's an interesting concept. We typically put out a job role, right? And we get 500 responses from LinkedIn. Then we shove it through the ATS, and we get 50 qualified leads. And we look through the qualified leads until we find 10. We find the top 10 CVs. And the trick is, the really important thing to recognize is that all 10 of them are qualified. Because we in HR, we do not waste our time, we definitely do not waste our executives' time interviewing unqualified people, right? So everybody we interview is already qualified. So here's the secret. If all we were looking for was a qualified person, we could take any of the CVs from the deck, send them an offer letter, and hope for the best. But nobody does that. Why? Because we're not interested in hiring a qualified person. We're interested in hiring a kind of qualified person, and that's the important part. Your CV is not enough to get you the job. You're going to sit in front of a representative of our economic community and talk to us, and we need to get a feel for who you are, what you stand for, and whether or not your values lean into ours. And at some point, one of us is going to turn to another one and say, that Ahmed, he's a good fit. And they'll say something very unprofessional like good fit or the kind of person to describe who you are. And that's why you really get the job. You get the job not because you are qualified, but because of your character. You're here and not someone else because it's you and not someone else. I've been trying to add a little bit of meaning to your life over the last few minutes. How am I doing? Doing okay? Yeah? Have I messed with the quality of your life just a little bit? That's good, because you know that Better Up study? 23% less money if they work in a job that they find meaningful. But the irony is that people who work in jobs that they find meaningful will actually make more money, but that's not all. Those employees that we can help to find meaning in their work, they will be happier, they will be healthier, and the statistics are showing us now they will live longer lives. Yes, you in the HR function, you can lengthen the lives of the people in your care by helping them to find meaning in their work. And you know what it is? It's not the spreadsheets, it's not the forms, it's not the reports, and it's definitely not PowerPoint that helps people to find meaning in their work. It's the people that they work next to and their reasons for being there that have nothing to do with the organizations that they're in or the products and services that they represent. Most humans, most of the time, we don't care what we do for work, but we care very deeply about who we're with when we're doing it and why we're there. That's meaning at work. Like I said, that's the subject of my book, Business is Personal. It's very cheap on Amazon. I'm really happy to have 20 copies for the first 20 of you that want to come out there and get a signed copy from me. I have really enjoyed being able to share a little bit of my story and some of the results. These things are immensely impactful in the organizations that I've been working with over the last little while, and I want to share with you them because they're not technology related. They're very, very human ideas and incredibly profitable. That's meaning at work. Now, what questions do you have that I can help to answer? I want to drive as much value into this as I can, and I've got like 4 minutes left. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Very, very useful, very informative. You've mentioned there particularly connection.
Yep.
Then the people they're working with.
Mm-hmm.
How has COVID impacted that, and the fact that more people are working remotely now? We
Yep.
know that is having a psychological impact on people. So
Absolutely.
How are we still to maintain that connection when we haven't got that physical, perhaps, connection?
Here's the hard answer. You can't. Okay? Remember, all of us, we have evolved over the last million years to make eye contact and shake hands and spend time in a room together. The technology that we have that allows us to communicate without those things is very, very young. We haven't evolved to it. We've adapted, but we have not evolved. Those are two different concepts in evolutionary psychology. So the idea that I can look at you on a screen, that's about 30 years old, right? And the problem with that is that we're still not making eye contact. And if we're not making eye contact, the ability for oxytocin to be produced in my brain and your brain goes down. Unfortunately, that's one of our things. We haven't adapted that yet. Once we have technology where you and I can make eye contact digitally, that will change. It will. But we're still not sure about the long-term health benefits or psychological detriments of things like the metaverse, which I'm speaking about at GITEX on Thursday. I'm talking about evolutionary psychology in the metaverse for exactly this reason. I think a balanced approach to remote work is helpful because commuting does take time, and it's not very useful time. So I think Apple's approach, Monday, Wednesday, is a good approach, and I think more companies will end up in that balanced approach. But at the moment, we don't have an alternative, a significantly good alternative to physically being together. And the reason for that is that we've got 10,000 generations of successful survival and adaptation based on being together with people we trust to provide for us and protect us when we're not looking. And we've got 30 years of tech.
Thank you.
Yes. It's Rania, right?
Great memory, thanks. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for this presentation. 2 thumbs up.
Thank you.
So
I had fun.
Well, I'm sure we all did as well. So speaking of meeting and speaking of trust and everything, right now I'm reflecting on the 80 or 70% that Ron spoke to this morning. How do you translate meeting into employee engagement initiatives at work? So what can we take back to our employees and the organization, say, Sunday morning?
Beautiful question. Beautiful question. Okay, so this is what I did at Serco. Many of you know Serco, UK-based company, like 40,000 employees around the world. They took their top 50 managers. We did a DISC personality profile so that they would understand who they are in relationship to other people. And then we did just 2 days. 2 days of what's in here. You can get it very cheaply. You do not need me for this, okay? We did 2 days of this. They wrote down their vision, mission, values, and goals for their personal lives. They understood the evolutionary psychology of business, just a couple of basic principles. And that upped their employee engagement score from 69 to 82 in less than 60 days. Okay, you want results? These are the results. Once people recognize that there's no such thing as a company. Okay? The company doesn't exist. It's not independent of its members. The company is a group of humans that represent families. Each one of those families sends a representative to play an economic game on an economic team every day, so that if that team in that game gathers enough shared resources, all of those families eat and get educated and build their dreams all at once. Once we get that employee to see and understand who they are as a human on a team of humans, not a team of resources, then they see themselves much differently. They see their work differently. They understand that their work is an expression of gratitude for being born into technology that they did not invent, into societies that they did not found, into benefits that they themselves will benefit from, but they didn't create. We're eating food we did not plant or harvest. And work is our expression of gratitude for that. This is how I add value to the world in exchange for a share of the resources so that I can take care of my family and build my dreams. We need our employees to be self-interested. Because when they know their vision for their personal lives and they're willing to share that with others around them, then they realize we're all not here because of our love for Excel. We're all here for our love for our families and our dreams, right? And when we get all that together, it's like, oh yeah, why wouldn't I want to partner with you? Their view of each other changes, and their view of themselves changes, and their view of the organization changes. Help them to be clear about their personal goals, which have nothing to do with your organization. I guarantee you their productivity and performance will go up. You will be more profitable. That's the real math of this. If we are clear about our personal goals, we will live healthier, happier, longer lives, and our companies will make more money. I think that's a spectacular piece of math. Does that help?
It does, thank you.
My pleasure. Yes, go ahead. For us.
So, I think, Corey, one of the things that your thinking is really sparked to all of us. How do you, from your experience, institutionalize this thinking within the organization?
Yep.
Do you add this to the KPIs of the leaders? Do you add this to the KPIs of the leaders, or is there any other method to really make this like mainstream within the whole organization?
Yeah. So a lot of it just comes down to communication. Okay, the results of the Gallup study were really clear. If we want all of those benefits for our organization, 70% of the variance on all of those benefits, including the 21% profitability number that I talked about in the beginning, is based on the oxytocin that flows in a single relationship in the organization, that is between an employee and their line manager. If the line manager is good at listening, you will make more money. That's the science, okay? Look, I'm a leadership expert, but I tell people all the time, if you want to learn leadership, don't follow me, follow the science, because that's what I'm following. The science tells us if our managers are taught to listen and ask personal questions that have nothing to do with the organization, they will perform better. Their teams will perform better. It seems counterintuitive, but it's not a KPI. It's not. I don't know, we can wrap it in the word empathy or humanity. I say, my hashtag is humans, not resources. And that's not because I'm picking on HR as a function. It's just because I think that we've mislabeled it. It's not any of your faults, by the way. And I don't think people and culture is necessarily better if you don't change the way that you do your business. Right? But recognize that we are not dealing with resources. These are not cogs in a well-oiled machine. Okay? Humans are messy. We are weird and wonderful and incredibly creative and sometimes hostile and mean and sometimes all on the same day. And if you're married, sometimes all to the same person on the same day. You know what I mean? Like we cannot be counted on as capital or assets or resources. We are incredibly creative and very dynamic creatures. And we are capable of so much more than we give ourselves or our employees credit for. But it's only when we're aligned personally to each other that we tap into that creativity and that capacity. It's unfortunately not a KPI, but it is a paradigm shift. And that happens, like all paradigm shifts, through a series of well-crafted conversations. If your managers learn how to have those conversations with their teams, you will reap the benefits, and they will too. And it's not a greedy thing, right? Because the company makes more money, and the employees also make more money, and they also live happier, healthier, longer lives. The math on this is incredible. How am I doing for time? Am I done? You gonna kick me off the stage now? 5 more minutes? All right. Anyone else? Yes, I see you. I see you. A microphone is coming. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. You'll have to tell me your name.
Mahal Abdulatif from PMU.
My pleasure.
So we have a saying here in management, فرق تسد, and it translates to divide and conquer.
Okay?
So in a workforce, basically it means having less people in one room means less trouble and more productivity. So, but again, we keep talking about employee engagement and having like good relationship between employees. So what's exactly the right approach or like the right balance between like the two approaches?
Mahala, do you have children?
Yes,
How many?
2.
Okay, so you have 2 children. When do they feel more engaged with you? When they're together or when you have each of them separately?
Each of them separately.
Good. We've learned this from a very early age, okay? So let's learn to use the tools that have helped us to survive and adapt for the last million years. Remember, you are the latest iteration in 10,000 successful generations of survival and adaptation, okay? Use those best practices. That will transform your HR. You don't need theory from the 1980s and 1990s to transform your HR. Data is very helpful, but the data is telling us what the psychologists have known for a long time. Inclusion works. Diversity works. It's profitable. I loved what Ron said today about gender balance in decision-making bodies. There was a couple of studies, I think it was EY and KPMG. Both of them put out independent studies with the same results, that if your ratio of gender diversity improves by 10% in one calendar year, your market profitability will go up by 7% in the following year. I think that's amazing. This whole idea of divide and conquer, I don't think conquer is the right word. Divide and connect might be more helpful language. If you're meeting your people one-on-one for one-on-ones and then also as a team to build that team, I think that's what's helpful. What's not helpful is the level of distraction that we have as managers and leaders. We're living in an unprecedented age of complexity. And it's driving us to forget what has made us powerful as humanity in the past. And we think that we're going to be able to evolve beyond this. No, we will adapt to it, but we will not evolve beyond it. We need 1,000 generations before we can evolve to adapt, before we can evolve into the technology we've already created for ourselves. We were evolved to survive in a world that no longer exists, a world of scarcity and violence, where if you are kicked out of your tribe, that's a death sentence. Which is why it's so hard to lose your job. You know, we're not evolved to survive in the world that we've created for ourselves. And the good news is that the world that we've created for ourselves is an abundant world. We live in the most abundant and peaceful time in all of human history. Present troubles notwithstanding, this is still the most incredible time. We have access to so much technology, healthcare, communications, transportation. The world is so close and so connected now, more than it ever has been in the past. We have so much to be grateful for. Divide and connect. Meet with as many of your key people one-on-one as you can. The studies are that about 7. 7 is the key. If your employee they feel connected to and supported by the 7 people that they interact with most in the organization, which is definitely their line manager and maybe a couple of people in other departments, but whoever those 7 people are, they will feel that their work is meaningful, even if all they're doing all day is balancing Excel spreadsheets. Does that make sense? Okay, we wrote these rules 1 million years ago. Let's follow them. Those are really good rules. Thank you so much for your time. During the break, I'll be outside if you have any questions. Oh, stay here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Block. Really inspiring. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And my appreciation for having come down here and being with us today.
My pleasure.
I just have a small token of appreciation.
Oh, come here. Right here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
Bravo, Corey.
See you.